Welcome back. So during the commercial break there, we saw an ad for a startup show that airs right here on channels, and it was talking about artificial intelligence, and I was talking with my guest here, about what that means for Nigeria. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, the employment or unemployment markets here in Nigeria and how we need to sort of fix that and see how we can boost our economy with that. The youngest population probably maybe even in the world at this stage because the numbers are crazy, but the jobs are not there. I'm joined now by Bright Jaja, who's an entrepreneur, so he's very well placed to talk about this. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
A lot of the conversations globally about AI is how it's going to take away jobs from people,
Yeah.
and people have to find ways to work around AI. I mean, there's even talk that even someone like me might be unemployed very soon because they can newscast
Yes.
wherever
Yes.
they want and create anything. So it just makes you wonder how far we are behind. But it might be a good or bad thing, I don't know. In Nigeria, there's a booming tech space, which has created a lot of employment for a lot of people, but it still feels like a lot of young Nigerians are struggling. There's a conversation about the fact that a lot of people were left behind because they didn't get an education. There's also the other conversation about those who get education don't even get employed. So it's a huge problem. Soft skills keep coming up. What does that space look like for the over 100 million young Nigerians who are looking for something to do?
Thank you for having me, first of all. It's always good to be here. First of all, I feel like when you look at the data, you discover that the people who are uneducated actually have more jobs than people who are educated. What does that say? It means that when you look at the entire employment structure, 91.7% of young people people that are employed generally are employed in the informal sector. That's the SMEs, MSMEs, and stuff like that. So it means that most of the people in Nigeria that are employed are within the market spaces, the artisans, the vocational space.
And what we call handwork.
What we call handwork, which is what we call the informal sector. And that is where most Nigerians are employed because we do not have, the universities are not training people for the jobs that exist in our environment. That's why when you go through university, the best place you can work is either in the UK or in America because they have a lot of corporations. How many corporations do we have? They're not up to 10%, right? The banks, how many are they? How many people can they employ? The government, how many people can the government employ? What is the retirement rate? So at the end of the day, you discover that the jobs that are being created is based off of the number of people that we have, which is we have 250 million people that wear clothes, that eat food, that drive cars. That is the supply and the demand and supply. And for us to be able to succeed, for us to be able to get more young people to get jobs, we need to formalize that informality to be able to create more space for more young people, which includes from training to employment and making sure that there's a formal system where there's certification and job qualification, where for you to be able to get a job, you're supposed to at least have some kind of grade or some kind of certification where you can grow through the ranks. But because somebody can wake up in the morning and say, I'm a plumber, and there's nobody can justify or testify that this person is actually a plumber. He comes to your house, instead of him to fix your plumbing, he's doing something else. But if we have a structure that is able to formalize that whole thing, then we're able to create opportunity for more people to come into this space.
And you're saying this, and I know that it's something that a lot of us know, right?
Yeah.
Government has even talked about it so many times, the need to sort of invest in vocational training.
Yeah.
Some governors once in a while give out grants or they launch one skills acquisition space for people to come and train. So we know this, but I wonder why it doesn't reflect, right? Is it that we've not done enough, or is there, I don't want to use the word stigma, but we're a country that looks at things a certain way. We like to carry our shoulder, oh, you're just a carpenter. There are certain jobs that are seen as not good enough. Even by your family, they go say, so you went to school, this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Is it a problem with our perception of these things, or is government, has not invested in letting people understand the need for this enough?
There are three things. The first one is the perception, right? And the perception is...
it's changing a bit, but it's still there.
It's still there, and it's created by our societal structure. I mean, everybody wants their kid to be a doctor, a lawyer, without even caring if they make money or not. As long as you have that certification, you have that degree, for them, you're a success, right? So the definition of success in our society is the first problem. The second problem is skills are not working for people who have them, right? So you have a plumber or a carpenter who have great skills, but there's no structure for him to be able to grow through the ranks. When was the last time you called a carpenter? How did you, or something happened in your house? How did you get the person? You probably called somebody.
Call somebody.
I
Do you
know
have
somebody that knows somebody
Yeah.
to say, okay, or you're probably driving on the street and you see this signpost that says,
Inside with the person's number.
plumber, please call this number. That is so informal. So because of those kind of structures, the people that are already in the industry are not making enough money for them to be able to, for other young people to say, I want to go do these jobs. Look at what's happening in the content creating space right now. Everybody wants to be a content creator because there's a clear evidence that you can succeed, you can make money, you can grow. But when you look at all of these trades, those structures are not in place to support the people that are already there. So why would I want to come and join that bandwagon of people who are going to end up broke? So what the government has to do, so what the government plays, the second thing is government playing a role in formalizing the entire structure. So if you go to the UK or America, for example, there are job platforms. These job platforms requires you to go through some certain stages for you to be able to get access. You can't go to UK and work because you need a work permit. That work permit requires you to have certain certifications. So so if you get a permit, there's a level of work that you can do, and there's a level of amount that you can make for the job. And if you want to increase your level, you have to go through a certification program to increase your level. We don't have that here. So what the government has to do is to go back into policy, design policies that regulate how artisans are being employed, their wages, and make sure that there's a structure that there's growth in when it comes to their career path. And once we have that structures in place, then you have more people getting interested because there's now success when it comes to the people that are already in the industry.
When does this start? Sort of this, because we drive around Nigeria, we see a lot of young people idling away, right? And people keep saying this is a ticking time bomb. Whenever it implodes, we don't know what the repercussions will be. But the people are there, right? When is the time to train these people or to get this training? Is it something that has to happen at a young age? Is there a limit to when it can happen? I don't know if I'm framing the question right, but it just makes me wonder if it's if we've lost time already, if it can still be fixed.
I think we can do two things at the same time. The first thing we can do is to have a structure within the educational system where if you go through primary, secondary school, before you go to university, you have to go through a compulsory 1-year apprenticeship attachment to either a small business or an existing business where you can learn a particular trade. So before you go into university, you already have a trade, whether it's plumbing, carpentry, hairdressing, makeup artist, video production, whatever, editing, whatever it is. That 1-year break, you have to get that. For you to be able to even write JAMB, for you to be able to say, okay, I want to go into university, the JAMB process will require you bringing in an apprenticeship certificate. Once we have that, we have young people who already have skills. So when they go to university, they're able to learn other things that can improve their skills when they come out. So when you have skills like branding, communications, and all of those other things, and you apply that to being a carpenter or a hairdresser, you elevate the business, then you're able to employ more people. So government has to create structure where it's mandatory for you to have a 1-year training on apprenticeship on any technical and vocational trades. That's the first thing. The second thing is, like I said, make skills work for people who have them. So right now, a lot of government agencies from ITF to the Ministry of Creative Economy, everybody's trying to do training, right? How can we make sure that we kind of bring this whole program together, that we don't have people doing the same thing and achieving different results? How do we make sure at the end of the day, we're able to support existing job platform? Job platform actually helps a lot because now you can go to a platform and say, oh, I want a plumber. And there's all the information that you need to be able to say, to be able to decide to employ that plumber is available. How can government support more platforms to be created? How can government collaborate with industries and private sectors to be able to integrate the educational system, integrate the demand and the supply, where the employers are able to give you information, especially the educational system, the information that they need, especially when it comes to the things that they require in the labor market. It's a huge gap between how they communicate. The educational system is doing whatever they want to do. The job market is doing something different. So where do we find that? How do we create that bridge where there's constant communication? Because what you're learning in school right now, before you graduate, is done. Like, it's literally irrelevant. So how do we make sure there's constant information to be able to elevate the technical skills or even the general skills of young people as they go through education? Because times are moving fast. Technologies are coming up, like you said, AI, that's replacing job at a fast, rapid pace. So if we're able to create the structures in place, create policies that can support, the integration of artisans into the job market and formalize it, we'll be able to create more opportunities to get more young people into the system.
This formalizing you're talking about,
Yeah.
is that why you think sort of remuneration isn't great? Because that's probably another reason why there's stigma.
Yes.
When if you're a plumber, if you're whatever it is, an artisan, people don't see it as lucrative enough. I mean, there are people who have been able to scale up.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's a carpenter in Abuja who's doing amazing. He owns a wood company, makes furniture and all of that. So on that level, yes.
Yeah.
But like you said, he's gone to school, he's a graduate, decided to go back to carpentry, and he's doing well with it. But most people don't see enough of those kind of stories to want to go into it, So, I mean, how much of it is on us who like to look for cheap labor?
Yeah.
And of course, as long as there's unemployment, labor will be cheap, right? But does formalizing change the game for that? I know you keep saying we need to, but how do we do that? Is it government willpower? Is it government, is it on the private sector?
Yeah.
Who does this?
It's a collaboration. So for us, for example, I run a company called I Create Africa, and basically what we do is we empower young people with technical and vocational skills. And we don't have a technical school. What we did was to onboard small businesses. So the small hairdressing salon, the small barber shop, the small carpentry workshop. We onboard them on our platform, and then we attach young people to go there and train as apprentices for 3 to 6 months. And with that, we were able to train a lot of people. But then we found out that training is one thing. How do you make sure that these people get jobs? Then we built another platform called the Skillers Platform. This platform, what it does is it onboards all these different young people, including the businesses that have trained them, into the platform. And then we have a standard fee. So if you just went through an apprenticeship program, you're a rookie. If you are the business, you are a pro. The fee that you get as a pro is not the same fee that you get as an apprentice. Now, the apprentice knows that he has to work hard and learn more to be able to get to that level. So now there's not hierarchy, there's growth, there's career progression within the platform. And then also another thing that we've done is to make sure that there is a standard wage. So we've been able to either cut the wage, put the wage between per square meter or time. So it's either we're paying you hourly or we're paying you per square meter. So if you're doing bricklaying and it's 2,000 square meter, we're paying you this amount of money per square meter. That also, we're able to increase their value.
Yes.
But at the same time, even the client is able to see what he's paying for, because you know that, okay, I'm not being cheated, right? So if we have that kind of structures in place, it helps us. But now, where the government plays a role for us, because for us, it's difficult to be able to identify these young people based on their skills. So we have to go around, we have to do a lot of investigation, speak to their clients. But if there's a system in place that certifies them, I don't have to go through all of this process. I cannot give certification. That's not within the private sector privy to do that. It's the government that has to create structures to give certification. So if there's certification programs where all you need to do is go to our platform, upload your certificate that you've gone through this process, then we onboard you easily. But if the government doesn't do that, then it's difficult for us to be able to onboard as many people as possible, because it's going to cost us a lot of money to be able to do verification, right? So it's two ways. The government has to play a role, but it has to play for, and then also individuals, like people like me and you, we have to treat artisans with dignity. We have to treat them with respect. The way we treat them, we treat them like they're nothing in society. And so our role as citizens is to make sure we place dignity. If you find a waiter, be nice to the waiter. Don't talk to them anyhow like they are not human beings like you.
It's a job.
So if we're able to do that also, everybody comes together and we're able to, young people, citizens are able to analyze and understand that they have a role on how they treat people, especially when it comes to skilled workers, then they actually feel more pride to be able to do these jobs.
Going back to what I started with AI, right? I mean, we've seen countries like China, Germany, a lot of them became what they became because of vocational skills. They built things literally with their hands. China was a manufacturing capital of the world, still is, but I mean, it's shifting a bit now because labor is not as cheap as it was. But also technology is now playing a role in their economy heavier than it was. So I guess playing the devil's advocate here, or turning things on its head more like, is there really a point to do this vocational training thing anymore? We're seeing 3D printed houses, Do you need anybody to build anything anymore? People are printing furniture. AI is literally doing a lot of these things now. How much longer do we have if I'm going to go get a vocational training to say, okay, I'm going to be a carpenter or whatever it is for, it might sound extreme, but this is what people are thinking about. Am I going to be a carpenter for maybe just another 5 years and I'm jobless and I have to go look for something else? Is it a worry?
I think it's a worry for people who are actually within the corporate space, because what AI mostly would do, what AI would do that Africa can easily adapt to are things that are mostly within you can do with your laptop or your phone. But when it comes to things that we have to use our physical hands, it will take at least another 20, 25, 30 years for Africa to get to that level where, first of all, we are able to have the infrastructure to support robots. We're still a long way, a long way, we're still far away from that. And then also be able to have a society that can adapt, to that kind of environment. Have a society where robots can adapt to this kind of environment. When you look at things like technology that have worked in Nigeria, Uber, for example, the reason why Uber works is because there's a road, there's a driver, and there's a car, right? When you look at things like payment gateways, those are technologies that can easily be integrated. But when you want to talk about things like physical robots walking around the street and ironing your clothes, you know how Africans act. Before they started having one-on-one interaction, trying to fight with something, trying to test something to see how it works. And then also when it comes to the pricing, how many people can afford to have a robot in their house? Right now, Elon Musk is saying that at most in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll probably be having those robots at $20,000. How many people can afford that? So let's say the wealthy, the 1% can afford it, but what happens to the rest of them? You still need carpenters in your house, you still need plumbers in your house. So I think as much as I understand that robots or AI will play a major role as we go forward, when it comes to things that has to do with your physical hands, it's going to take a while for us to get there.
So just to wrap up now, I mean, we're waiting for the GDP to be rebased.
Yeah.
Waiting for the new figures to come out. Of course, the informal sector is going to play probably the most significant role in whatever the numbers look like. And of course, vocational skills are a huge part of that, So a young person who sees that realizes, okay, this is a huge part of the economy. Where should my headspace be? What should I be thinking? What are some of the things I should do? Like you said, you're on a platform where people, sort of come together to do that. What should we, as young Nigerians, or even old, it doesn't have to be a young person, if it's something you want to pivot into, what should you be thinking?
I think we live in a generation right now that want quick success. So everybody's going into, crypto, trying to just make quick money. I feel like the first thing for us is to understand that for society to move forward, we have to play a significant role. And that role is beyond us trying to make money, but trying to make the society workable for all of us. And so the first thing I'm gonna say, especially for young people who do not have, access to jobs, is to acquire a technical skills. There is a huge demand. People say that there are no jobs. When you walk into a construction site, there's work happening. You walk into a beauty salon, there's work happening. Work is happening everywhere. You need to acquire the skills that has demand across the various technical industry. And it's huge. There are over 50,000 skills that you can do. Just in construction alone, there are over 1,700 skills, 1,700 skills that you can actually go into, whether it's painting, whether it's decoration, there's a lot of things. So I would advise young people to acquire a technical skills and then acquire soft skills that you can use to improve that technical skill. So once you're a carpenter, you learn how to brand, you learn how to communicate, use social media, be proud of whatever it is that you choose to do. And once you do that, once you're able to offer a service, it's a guarantee there's going to be a demand that you're going to make money.
Thank you very much, Bright Judge. I hope people are listening. I Create, you said?
I Create Africa, yes.
I Create Africa. Check him out, and maybe this can be the beginning of your success story.